The Bhopal gas tragedy. On December 2nd, 1984, a 35-year-old employee working in Union Carbide factory in Bhopal, India. His name isn't recorded, but let's call him Iqbal. Iqbal reported for his night shift. That evening, during routine pipe cleaning, a few workers had been flushing out chemical lines with water. They were told to clean quickly and move on to the next task. But they accidentally left the water running for nearly 3 hours. And due to poor supervision and lack of proper training, they didn't realize that water had started seeping through a faulty valve directly into tank 610, which contained methyl isocyanate, one of the most toxic chemicals in the world. None of them knew that even a small amount of water mixing with MIC could trigger a deadly chemical reaction. By 10:30 p.m., the chemical reaction had already begun. Inside the tank, the temperature rose rapidly. MIC started to boil, generating enormous pressure. The gauges showed abnormal readings, but the supervisors dismissed them as instrument error. When Iqbal checked the control panel later that night, the pressure indicator was climbing fast. He alerted his team. Iqbal and two other men tried to open the valves manually to release some pressure, but the valves were jammed with rust. Moments later, a massive hiss echoed through the plant, and tank 610 burst open, releasing tons of toxic MIC gas into the air. Within minutes, the entire city of Bhopal was engulfed in poison. The invisible clouds spread fast, carried by the night wind. People woke up coughing violently, their eyes burning, their lungs on fire. Birds fell from the sky. By morning, Bhopal had turned into a silent graveyard. Thousands of people lay dead on the streets. When rescuers entered the factory, they found Iqbal's body near the control room, his hand still gripping the lever he had tried to pull. He had stayed till the very last moment, trying to stop the leak that no one could control. The Chernobyl disaster. On April 26, 1986, Valery Kodymchuk, a 35-year senior circulation pump operator working at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine. Valery was inside the turbine hall of reactor number 4. He was monitoring the pumps during what was meant to be a routine safety test. The test aimed to check if the turbines could produce enough power to keep cooling water flowing during a short power outage. However, a series of serious mistakes and poor communication made the reactor unstable. As control rods were pulled out and safety systems were shut down, the reactor's power shot up uncontrollably. Within seconds, the core overheated. At 1:40 a.m., a massive explosion ripped through the building. The first blast threw the 1,000-ton steel reactor lid into the air, followed by a second explosion that blasted steam, graphite, and deadly radiation into the sky. Valery, who was standing closest to the reactor, was killed instantly. His body was buried deep beneath the destroyed structure and never recovered. He remains inside reactor number 4, now sealed within the concrete built to contain the radiation. When firefighters and plant workers rushed to the scene, they saw glowing chunks of graphite scattered around, not realizing they were highly radioactive pieces from the reactor core. Some picked them up with their bare hands, thinking they were harmless debris. Within hours, the radiation began to show its deadly effects. Many workers and first responders suffered severe radiation sickness. Their faces swelled, skin turned red and blistered, and they felt intense burning from the inside out. Some began vomiting uncontrollably, grew dizzy, and collapsed. Many developed long-term illnesses, including thyroid cancer, birth defects, and chronic radiation sickness. Valery Kodymchuk is remembered as the first victim of the Chernobyl disaster. The Tokaimura disaster. On the morning of September 30th, 1999, at a nuclear fuel processing plant in Tokaimura, Japan, 35-year-old Hisashi Uchi and two of his co-workers were doing what seemed like a normal day's job. They were purifying uranium oxide to make fuel rods for a research reactor. Inside the small processing room, Uchi stood near a stainless steel tank, holding a funnel steady. His co-worker, Masato Shinohara, poured a mixture of enriched uranium oxide into the tank from a bucket. It was a routine step, but this time there was a deadly mistake. The men had no prior experience handling highly enriched uranium, and they had added too much of it to the tank. Without realizing it, they had crossed the safety limit and in that instant triggered what is known as a criticality accident, an uncontrolled nuclear chain reaction. Suddenly, a blinding blue flash filled the room. For a brief moment, everything went silent. Uchi, who stood closest to the tank, took the full force of the radiation, one of the highest doses ever recorded in history. Experts later estimated he absorbed between 16 and 25 grays of radiation, far beyond what the human body can survive. Shinohara, standing about half a meter away, received 6 to 9 grays dangerous exposure. At first, the men were confused. They felt a sudden wave of heat and pain. Within minutes, Ouchi began vomiting and collapsing. His skin reddened and burned from the inside out. What they didn't know was that billions of their cells had just been destroyed in seconds. Even though they rushed out of the room, the damage was irreversible. Ouchi's exposure was so extreme that his white blood cells, which fight infection, were completely wiped out. His body could no longer heal or protect itself. His DNA was shattered beyond repair. Doctors at the University of Tokyo Hospital tried everything to save him. Skin grafts, blood transfusions, stem cell transplants, but nothing worked. His skin peeled away, his organs began to fail, and he suffered extreme pain and radiation burns all over his body. He survived for 83 days after the accident through unbearable suffering before finally passing away on December 21, 1999. His colleague Shinohara died several months later, in April 2000. The Tokaimura disaster became one of Japan's worst nuclear accidents.